So Hasbro currently right now is revealing a bunch of Transformers this week, and we're going to have a bigger reveal tomorrow during a bigger live stream, to my understanding. But it's supposed to be a whole week of reveals. We have like one figure coming out one or two figures like coming out each day. And so far, there's been some stuff that's gotten me excited. One that's a little off-putting. I mean, I wish it was a little bit better. But then on top of that, we're going to have our second Lego crossover for Transformers. And I think it looks pretty cool. But on the heels of that, we have another Transformers movie coming out at the end of the summer, which is going to be in September. And it's going to be an animated flick. And it seems the director is going to be trying to make this movie to be a really good and fun Transformers movie. But we have a movie producer who doesn't quite understand the franchise and is opening his mouth, really ticking off a lot of fans that may just push a lot of people away. And with that said, I'm going to talk about that and some more. So sit back, relax, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, becoming a channel member, or purchase some merch. Links are in the description below. So I want to talk about the new reveals today first, because I got a lot more to say about the other two figures on the reveal, but today's reveal is Lego Bumblebee. I talked about this in my live stream over the weekend, and, you know, it was just a leak. But now we get to see some official images to see what it really looks like. I had the Lego Optimus. I put that together. I did that in a live stream in 3 parts, and then I reviewed it. And it was cool. It was cool to be able to put that together. And now folks will have their opportunity to have a full transforming Bumblebee into pretty much a Volkswagen Beetle. And I think it looks kind of cool. I'm not going to lie, it does look kind of cool. You know, if you enjoy putting model kits together, if you enjoy putting Legos together, definitely something to add to your collection. And like I said, I think it does look kind of neat. You know, it takes a lot of time and effort and energy to put a Lego set together, whether it's a Transformer or a police station, you know, train station, or some of the Lego stuff for Star Wars or Harry Potter that a lot of people like get into the different brands, and having Transformers be a part of it is cool, just as cool as well. So I think it's neat. So I do want to talk about some of the reveals that came out this week, and we have 2 figures that are going to be for Legacy United Wave 4. And the first figure on the list is Quake. I'm talking about him first in particular because there's a little bit more discourse around Slipstream. And I'm actually very happy about this one. He is a retool of Skullgrin. So they pretty much, you know, kind of worked around the tank treads and what have you, gave him a new head, new color scheme, but they also gave him his Target Master partners like Needlenose had. I think they're using the same molds and just repainting them a little bit differently. And I think the figure looks great, you know, in particular. The Target Masters themselves, though, I think are lacking. You know, I wish they were a little bit more articulated, but I understand budgets. It's a deluxe class figure and what have you. And what's nice about having Quake is that he does complete that trio if you got Spinister and Needlenose for the Decepticon double Target Masters. And his tank mode, it's okay. You know, it's not the best tank mode. It's a better looking tank than the Skullgrin figure. And Skullgrin, you can kind of reconfigure him to like make him a better tank than the weird brick that he is. This does look like a better tank, and I actually think it does look neat. So I'm excited for him. I do want to complete that trio to have all 3 double Target Masters. I just wish that, you know, Spinister, there was a better way to get the you know, double target masters for him. But at the same time, maybe they might re-release Spinister again for people to be able to get and be able to complete that collection, considering that he came out around Siege. So having all three of them with Heater and Tip Top is a plus. Now here is the figure that is causing a lot of discourse. And that is because Legacy United Slipstream, here now a barely retool of Legacy Windblade. Now, Windblade as a figure, I like her. And, you know, the thing is I don't care for the fact that the wings are hollow on the outside. So, like, you know, mind you, you can take the wings off and reverse them, but that's kind of a pain to do. And I don't like the sword. So I do know Non-F Productions is currently working on a fill kit for her wings and giving her a new sword. But that's at least for this figure. But for Slipstream, I'm like, you could have given her a new chest, you know, to make her look more like a Seeker. And I'm not a fan of the wings. I understand that Windblade, the first Windblade figure was retooled for Takara's, I believe it was Legends, or it was like back at like Henkei United, somewhere around there, where they basically retooled Windblade into Slipstream to make her the animated character. And they're doing the same thing here for Cyberverse, because this is supposed to be Cyberverse Universe Slipstream. And I'm looking at the figure and I'm just like, I like the head sculpt. The head sculpt is nice. The colors are nice. But I'm not feeling it, like, just based upon these, you know, stock images. There's just something about it that just doesn't scream Slipstream. If she had new wings and if she had a new chest, I would have been like, yeah, I'm all about it, you know, because it would have given her a better profile to, you know, considering that the rest of her is fine, at least as far as robot mode is concerned. And now her jet mode, it just screams a purple Windblade, you know, and I'm a little disappointed. I understand some people wanted that full-size Seeker. I kind of want that too. And, you know, I looked at the next post from Mark, and he says, like, you know, yes, you know, look through these images. We understand that people do want a Voyager scale Windblade, but and he's expressed that to the team. So, and yes, you can put the arm cannons there on the arms, just like you see here. So you can do, you know, what people were saying, like, oh, it doesn't look like there is, but no, there are 5mm ports on the arms of the Windblade and Slipstream mold. But, you know, he is right that the figure does, you know, have a really nice looking color scheme. And I'm happy that they made a new figure for her. They're finally giving her, you know, a figure that's going to be out at retail and is posable. That is a plus. I just think that they lacked in a lot of places. Now, looking at the same post from Non-F Productions, and I'm not trying to, like, promote them here. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. But he does seem to be making something. On one of his accounts, he posted images of disassembling Windblade, and he's looking into doing a new tool for a chest piece for Slipstream, as well as new wings. And if he does, great, you know, because it would definitely benefit this character in quite a lot of places. And, you know, I got to say, I'm looking forward to it. So, but in the meantime, I'm on the fence about even getting the figure, you know. I really do want a Slipstream figure, and maybe we might see one in the future that's a Voyager scale and kind of scales well with the rest of the Seekers. But in the meantime, if you are interested in getting this figure, you know, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. It's kind of the same thing with that Chromia, which I'm going to be honest with you, that Chromia didn't do much for me as far as being a basically a head swap out of Animated Universe Prowl. And I'm like, doesn't really work for me. You know, I kind of feel the same way about Slipstream. But I understand they are trying to work within their budgets. They are trying to work with what they can. But, you know, so I'm like on the fence about it. I do think she does look kind of neat next to Starscream. So there is that. Hopefully, you know, we'll see something better out of Slipstream in the future. In the meantime, Variety has just posted an interview with Transformers 1's producers, the director, and they discuss the movie as far as it's concerned. So Paramount, you know, animation, work in progress for Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. So the movie is still a work in progress. Some people have already seen it. I think Sixo has already seen it. He says he likes it. But, you know, the movie can be really good. I am on the fence about whether or not, like, I think the movie's going to be good. It looks very... they're trying to reach a younger audience, which is fine. It's understandable, especially considering that the live action films were always aiming for like a teen demographic, whereas like this is trying to reach a little bit younger than that. And, you know, I'm hoping that the movie is good. So they interviewed, you know, you had Lorenzo Dibonaventura, you had Josh Cooley, and they were here in this interview, and they said, this is the first animated Transformers movie in 40 years. What challenges did you face getting it made? Quick correction. There was the Predacons Rising. Yes, that was a made-for-TV movie. And then in Japan, there is a theatrical release of one of the Beast Wars Japanese anime films. So, but it's the first, you know, U.S. theatrical worldwide release since the 1986 movie. Cooley says there were a lot of different challenges on this film. The fact that it's animated, I think, is a benefit, though being that it's set on Cybertron, there are no humans, and it's all about robots. It just feels natural to animate as opposed to doing any other version. We went as big as an epic as possible just to match that feeling that people remember from the 86 film. Then this next statement got me mad. What's so surprising about the 86 film, says Dibonaventura, is how dark it is. Honestly, I don't understand why people love it so much. For some, maybe it was their first cinematic experience, but it's really a downer movie. Interestingly, when we showed our trailer for the first time, the fans' reaction was to compare our movie to that one. But they're not so comparable because that's so dark and this has so much humanity. They're completely different movies in many ways. Yes, movies can be different. Yes, we understand that. People are comparing it to the 86 film because it's an animated film. And yes, it's dark. A lot of movies in the 80s were dark. It's why a lot of us who grew up in that era, you know, have a different reaction to things than you guys do when you have these movies out there. And then you say it's a downer movie. Have you seen The Empire Strikes Back? You know, the Star Wars trilogy was what kind of inspired the storyline behind the 1986 film. You know, having that there is a darkness coming, but darkness was literally beaten by light. You had this high energy rock and roll adventure out in space. Yes, some of the old cast got killed. Yes, it was a toy commercial for the new cast of characters, killing off some of the old ones. But then again, your live action movies, I mean, you kind of don't understand that you killed off characters every single movie. You had some vicious, you know, brutal deaths in the live action Transformers films. And let's look at Lorenzo Dibonaventura's IMDb here for a second. Not only did he produce all of the Transformers movies, he's also produced all the G.I. Joe movies. You know, the second one where they killed off all the G.I. Joe characters? They killed off Duke? You know, I understand that they did that back in 1987, but, you know, we're talking about, you know, a live action movie where you just willy-nilly kill off characters. He also produced Madam Web. He produced Snake Eyes. Yeah. I mean, every time this guy opens his mouth, it's like a different thing. I mean, the guy also said that you shouldn't care about continuity, that Bumblebee and, you know, Rise of the Beast are prequels to the 5 Michael Bay directed Transformers movies. And yet he's also trying to connect this one to that. But that really bugs the heck out of a lot of people. It makes people like, you know, like other Transformers YouTubers, and I'm not trying to call this guy out because, you know, I'm glad that he's recovered, but Theromus really cares about the continuity between the live action films. Dibonaventura says you shouldn't care about it, whereas Stan Lee would give a no prize. Dibonaventura beats you over the head and says you're kind of silly for not just sitting down and enjoying it. But I will take a step back from just saying that, and I do want to talk about the rest of the folks who are making the film. You know, NATO says, I think for us at Paramount Animation, what's so great about partnering Lorenzo and Josh is that the particular story can only be told through animation. I mean, the world that Josh envisioned for Cybertron is extraordinary. It has so much innovation and beauty alongside a story that has so much heart. And Foreman says, an animated Transformers movie was not part of another piece of our relationship with Paramount. And the live action movies, it's so something independent that we both had to agree on. But from the very beginning, we all decided that this was something we wanted. We brought Josh onto the project and developed it with Paramount as equal partners. And it's basically been through the entire process. Can you lure audiences who are not fans or familiar with Transformers? And Cooley says it's an origin story. So we not only talk about these characters that people know, but of the origin of the species itself. We go back to the beginning. This is what happened. This is how we got to this place. You can go in knowing absolutely nothing and enjoy this film. And NATO says that's what's really important. We don't want people to feel like, wow, I need to see 7 movies before I go see this. With this film, you don't have to understand anything to follow along and enjoy it. And I think that's a plus. You know, they kind of go on about how, like, the character development between the characters and the voice actors, and how, like, there is a mix of comedy and what have you. This is playing out a little bit differently. And I think that this movie has the potential to be a good movie. I just think that Lorenzo just needs to shut his trap. Like, I really hate the fact that he beats people over the head with, like, anything from the past, just beating you over the head with things that he does not quite understand about the franchise. And yet you have other people who are coming in and going, no, we want to create something cool. We want to create something great. At the end of the day, you know, we want a Transformers movie that's been good. When you have statements like what Lorenzo said, you anger a lot of the older fans. And considering that Rise of the Beast did not do as financially well as you might think, you need to have the older fans invested in this Transformers movie as much as newer fans. You need people from all over the place to come in and just sit down and be able to enjoy the movie and not be bogged down by the fact that, you know, you're going out of your way to try and, like, crap on the fans. I mean, Hollywood's been doing this now for how long? I mean, back in 2007, that was what Michael Bay's whole mantra was, like, I'm not going to make that stupid Transformers thing. You know, Clerks 2 basically had a character where that made fun of Transformers fans who is so excited that the next Transformers movie is coming out, right? Like, that whole character, his whole thing with that. You know, you have, you know, that same attitude for other franchises nowadays, where people who are just not invested in the franchise come in and they write a story, and it's not a good story, and it doesn't really follow the lore, the backstory, or anything, and no one's really checking this stuff. And it's even worse than way it was back in Generation 1. I mean, they were creating things whole cloth back then, whereas now the franchise has been around for a long time. And so you want people to be excited for a movie like this. And from what I've heard, people have gone and seen, you know, have already seen, like, a preview of it so far, and they're saying it's good. So I'm hope the movie is good. But I can't get that, help get that sinking feeling that there's going to be things about this movie that are going to turn people off, and it just may not be all that it's cracked up to be. And I do hope that the franchise continues with something like this, because people are expecting a good Transformers movie. And I hope this is good. So, and I'm going to keep saying that until I'm blue in the face, because, you know, we've seen what the ups and the downs in this franchise all throughout the franchise's history. 40 years, and, you know, we're getting an animated movie on the big screen. Got to be excited about that, at least, right? I guess. But I want to know what you guys think. Are you excited about this Transformers movie, or are you apathetic? Are you just turned off by it? And what do you think about the new action figures that are coming out this week? Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I have many more Transformers videos like this coming soon, so stay tuned. And as always, until next time, till all are one.